almost there. No way. What is this? You're tuned in to the Eyes Open podcast, where secrets aren't safe and we see it all.
And as always, I want to start off today's show with sending a huge shout out to our sponsors over at Prima. Join the fight against fake food. These are the best protein bars on planet Earth. No fake ingredients, no seed oils, no garbage. I actually eat them every day. This is my go-to. Like today, was on the run, didn't have time when, because me personally, I do the 18-6 fast, and when I get around 18 hours, 19 hours, sometimes I'll push it. I get a little where, you know, I need something, so I keep a Prima bar on me. Always helps out. And the great thing is see, I like to, even if I'm the type, if I get protein powder, I make sure there's no garbage in it, unsweetened, no stevia, no monk fruit, no none of that. And I'll actually sweeten it with a little bit of honey. These are the same way. They sweeten them with honey. So there's no artificial sweeteners, no sugar alcohols, none of that trash. But yeah, check them out. You guys will not be disappointed. Check out, make sure you use our link in the comments. You'll get 15% off your order. And their sponsorship helps to fuel the channel and helps to fight against fake information, fake news, real news. Not the crap they tell you, oh, fake news, fake news. No. Most of the stuff they're telling you, that's the wild thing about the world nowadays. What they're telling you is fake news. A lot of times is the real news, but they're telling you it's the fake news, so it's the flip-flop again that they got you guys all confused with. But that almost goes along with today's episode. So essentially, you know, it had me thinking today when I went to the mall, took the family out to the mall just to, you know, go walk around and you know, grab a smoothie, just take a little break today on a Saturday. And I'm walking around and I'm thinking, you know, how many people really truly know how controlled and censored they really are? Like, we feel like we live in a free and open society until you start to make waves. The minute you start to make waves or you start to talk anything that's outside of the norm, nowadays, they don't just let it go, okay? They deem it as a danger to society and they remove it, okay? So my question is, see, Facebook got a little bit better about it. That's why wherever you guys are watching right now, the first time or the first place it always gets posted, my episodes, is on Facebook. So if you're watching somewhere else, facebook.com/Eyes Open Podcast. That's the best place to find me. Because I'll be honest with you, Facebook might try to censor me in the sense of holding me back, shadow banning, stuff like that. But they don't just straight up remove the content. I've rarely had that ever happen. So I'll give them that. And there's a big reason for that. Because the Zuck man got sued, a big lawsuit that came down because they were proving that, you guys remember the whole time when they were saying, oh, this has been deemed to be untrue. When they had these truth warriors out there, they were acting like that was going to tell you what is real news and what is fake news. During the elections, during all these times, and what they did was, they actually went and investigated the people that were making these claims. So if you made a claim online and Facebook removed it, they went and looked into the people that were making these decisions for us. And they were realizing that these people had no evidence to back up to call what these people were saying as fake. So they're essentially just, you know, deciding for themselves what they think is real and what they think is fake based on a biased opinion of what they think should be out there. So it wasn't, in a sense, they're protecting you from, you know, that's how they try to paint it. They're like, oh, we're protecting the public from panic or misinformation. You know, when can we really look at that started? Did it start with the CVID times? Is that when it really started? Because I can assure you, they're not protecting you from anything. That's the big thing we have to get out of the way. All right, that's where censorship, you know, essentially begins and people can admit that it's right there in front of you, which I don't think you could deny it. If you deny it at this point, you suffer from ostrich syndrome. Your head's just completely buried in the sand at this point. If you can't admit that we live in complete and total censorship at this point, because it started during, 2020 with the whole situation we went through with that. I'm not going to say it or get too in depth. They already flag me and pull my crap down as it is, but it started then. That's when they started to decide what is good for you, what you can hear. They used to let us decide for ourselves. We'll listen to this or we won't listen to that. Now, I could see if somebody's posting up, something that could literally harm somebody physically, like telling somebody something is good to do, but it's really harming or could, unalive you, then that's dangerous information. I can go along with that and I can understand them doing that. But this is just, things that people are putting out there. And even when I label it for entertainment purposes only, they still remove it. And that's proven, if you're watching on TikTok, TikTok removed the metals video that I put out. And like I said, it's for entertainment purposes only. Okay. Even though I label it that, all right, and people know why, even though I label it that, saying, look, I'm not making no statements of fact. I don't make any statements of fact on this show. I'll present something and say, hey, make up your own minds. I know what I think. You can't even have an opinion anymore. You even have an opinion now, and it goes outside of the norm. You're labeled as a dangerous person that they need to keep you under control in what you're talking about. That's the craziest thing. So you can't even have an opinion anymore, or it's censored. But this is why somebody once asked me, or I get this actually a lot. People are like, Elias, I hope your show is one of the ones, you're one of the influencers out there that talks about conspiracies, and I really hope you're one of the good guys. How do I tell the difference between, someone who's out there spreading the truth or somebody who's controlled? Do you want to know an easy way to tell it? Look into how freely they can say what they want, okay? Because they're not being removed from the internet. Every time I turn around, they're flagging a video for a copyright issue. They're removing it. They're saying it's false information. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Okay? So that's a good way to know when somebody's not controlled by, the powers that be, their platform and what they're doing. Because if they truly were, free independent media that they can't control, they're going to remove it. And then honestly, I think a lot of stuff they let slip. Okay, they'll let you talk about a lot of different things, but I think when certain agendas start to get exposed that they don't want, necessarily out there just yet, or people's minds in those positions, that's when they remove it. So if you put something up there and they totally rip it off online, that's when you're really onto something. Because they did it with the Died Suddenly documentary. Once they dropped that, I talked about this before, I remember. I can't remember what show it was on, but I talked about it before. So when that documentary came out, okay, talking about the JABs, they didn't just scrub it from Facebook and social media. I mean, it took the internet like a firestorm, okay? It was everywhere. As soon as I went to go watch it on all these different platforms, boom, it was gone. Okay? They removed it immediately. It was immediately removed. They even had a website. They started their own website to get that documentary out there, and they even scrubbed that. They completely removed it from the internet. Like, I've never seen anything happen like that in my life, ever. I've never experienced that. Never seen that. That's when I know, I was like, you know what? I have to go watch this documentary, because if they're really scrubbing it that bad, there's got to be something in there that they do not want us seeing. So that's really what it is. Look at what they push back at so hard. The people or the material that they push back at so hard. If they're pushing back at it and removing it from you even seeing it, you can tell that, it's something they do not want you to see. But that's what we're living in. We're living in the land of the free and the home of the censored. It's what it is. You open your mouth even in a slight contrast to the agenda and the powers that be, they shut you down immediately. Which is crazy. If people don't want to listen to it, don't listen to it. All right, move on. But it's okay for all the other detrimental stuff to society that they allow all over online, everywhere. Okay? They got, for example, I read about something today that they said how bad pornography is for the human mind. They were saying that it creates an artificial dopamine rush in people's brains that it actually to the point destroys like gray matter in your brain. There was like a study, it was some study I was reading about today online. And whether that's true or not, but it you know, what they were saying made sense. I haven't looked into the study, but there are studies I know out there that says how detrimental it is. But look at it this way. These OnlyFans girls and all these people out there that are promoting, okay, themselves half naked half the time, and then you can go click on their little site and go over to OnlyFans and go, you know, it's okay. That's not detrimental. Okay. The internet and or social media entirely is not detrimental, even though there's a lawsuit and they're proving, and they're having to pay out now because they're proving that social media itself is addicting, that kids are getting addicted to it, that people are addicted to the dopamine spike of just the doom scrolling and looking over videos after videos after videos. They're paying out massive lawsuits. It's the first time it's ever happened. And that's because, so we can't talk freely in a free and open society under your First Amendment right to say what you want to say on a public forum. They can just remove it off there, but they're going to allow people to do things that can be detrimental. I've even seen people selling drugs on here. Okay, think about that. I've seen ads come up where people are selling, you know, magic mushrooms, or it'll scroll up and they're selling weed. You see all types of crazy stuff and I'm like, how is this even allowed? Like on Facebook, how are they allowing people to sell this stuff? And it's illegal. Like, it's not like, you know, I know they passed a farm bill where certain level of THC is legal now federally. It's not that. Like, these are real sites selling real drugs that are still scheduled as illegal federally. So now, not to get into the whole debate about, you know, people that, you know, think marijuana is great and it's a great thing to be doing. Me personally, people are free to do whatever they want. Maybe there's some people that use it as a medicine. And, you know, me personally, I believe that the real weed that was around that people could use for pain and stuff like that, they've altered all these crops to the point they're not even natural anymore. I mean, it's not your grandfather's weed, okay, or your father's. It's altered garbage that they're using to screw you up. There was a guy online who was talking about what they're doing with the weed now. Like, it's like upping your estrogen. He was explaining all this stuff about how, so like I was explaining on the last show, or I think this was on a live I did yesterday on TikTok. Oh yeah, by the way, Fridays and Saturdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check me out on TikTok, the TikTok page. I'll be going live. So I'll be going live tonight. Check it out. But yeah, they were even showing, back to what I was saying about that. So what they were showing was, I'm losing my train of thought here now. So what they were showing was essentially, see, I totally lost my train of thought now. Had a complete brain fart there. I know I'll end up thinking of it here in a second. I hate when that happens because I'm right in the middle of talking about that. But no, people need to realize that if you're not seeing the censorship for what it is, if you're not seeing the world for what it is, then you are blinded, completely blinded, because now we're stepping in, okay, to the new world order that they want to have, the NWO. It's right here. It's, that's what I believe. That's my opinion. People can believe what they want to believe. But, even books I have right here, The Great Reset, from that to the 2030 agenda, it's all falling in place. Before you know it, you won't be able to say anything online. But yeah, so that's essentially, now that I remember what I was talking about. So we were essentially talking about, people can say all they want about, I take marijuana for joint pain or whatever this and that. I'm not talking about all that. See, in a free and open society, I personally don't think plants in general should be outlawed. If it's a plant and it grows naturally, I don't think man has a right to, outlaw a plant, because it just doesn't make sense to me. I believe in freedom of choice, because when they start telling you what's good for you and what's not good for you, that's a dangerous road to go down. For example, they'll tell you what's bad for you to hear, okay? Don't listen to Eyes Open Podcast. Don't listen to Elias. It's bad for you, okay? We're just trying to protect you guys while we poison your food supply. While we put total poison in your food, that's provable poison in your food, don't watch Eyes Open, though. That's detrimental. That can hurt you. Just remember, we care for you guys, though, okay? This is brought to you by Oreos. Genetically modified. Taste the GMOs. But it's just, it's completely hypocritical. It's completely ridiculous. But the only thing we can do to push against it, because there comes a point, because good always wins in the end. That's why I'll never stop. Good always wins in the end. So essentially what's going to happen is they're going to continue on with the charade. They're going to continue to try to hold people like me down, but it's not going to work for forever, because the more people like me push on, the more people like you that want to hear the truth, follow the truth, like, share, comment, subscribe, interact with it, the more it grows. They can't stop it. All right. And they won't be able to stop it. They're going to try, but like I said, the truth will prevail in the end. The only question is, what is it going to take we need more people to wake up. There's a lot of awakened people out there, but we need more people to wake up. The real question is, what is it going to take for a major, on a grand scale wake-up call to happen? Not just in America, but across the whole world. What is it going to take for that to happen?